their utility is possibly much less and much more fragile than many may consider. And the opportunity cost you have forfeited is probably much greater than you would like to think.
Secretary has fitted in the broader context of how it would work through the conventional and the nuclear balance and how it would affect. It does stop at a rather negative conclusion from our perspective that this is expensive, you need to look at your resources, and so on and so forth. And this is just the right time for me to introduce my last speaker of this session as well as this workshop. And I hope that he would be probably putting aside his prepared presentation and dealing with some of the comments that have been made. It is Zahir Kazmi. He is the Director at Arms Control Disarmament Affairs Branch of the Strategic Finance Division. No stranger to the IISS, where he has been a visiting fellow. He also finds time to be visiting faculty at Qaid-e-Azam University as well as other universities, and has focused on these areas for several years. You have the floor, sir.
So thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on the panel with my teacher and my teacher's teacher. Whatever I would say are my own opinions, and if there's something wrong or embarrassing, they never got me. So what I'll do is that I have no prepared script. What I did was I took notes the entire day. So I'm not scripted, but yet I'll speak from my notes in order to save time. So what I'll do is that I'll make only brief propositions about what were the shifts in trends and doctrines and deterrence portend for strategic stability in South Asia. And before I do that, we shouldn't forget, and it was mentioned earlier during this panel, that we have this action-reaction dynamic in the subcontinent. Action by India, reaction by Pakistan. So once we talk of the trends and shifts in the doctrine and deterrence, this is important to remember. And also, my view is that the deterrence dynamics in the region have become complex. So we have a sort of complex deterrence, and the paradox of deterrence, as Sir Gori was mentioning, has actually increased. So we have witnessed several layers of theoretical developments in last 7 decades of the nuclear age, and Mr. Bowen explained some of these. And thanks heavens and the destructive power of these weapons, which the US demonstrated over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that we cannot empirically prove which change in doctrine is right or wrong. So far as deterrence remains the operative word in our nuclear thinking and policy making, we can hope that Hiroshima or Nagasaki will not be repeated anywhere in the world. Therefore, these shifts in trends and doctrines and force postures that are preemptive, that seek escalation dominance, or increase the risk of crises, escalation to a war, should be categorized as destabilizing. So, it follows that using terrorism as an instrument of state policy while playing as its victim is a negative recurring trend in India. The preemptive cold start doctrine is the second shift in Indian doctrine that is highly destabilizing, and Jim Kidwai mentioned it. And India has developed it as an offset strategy to its frustratingly long mobilization time. And Nasser weapon system has seemingly frustrated such a design. And Indian gargantuan investment of time and money and cold start doctrine has been affected by this. And by the way, we do not usually, we tend to forget that India also has nuclear capable Prahar, Pragati and Nirbhay missiles, which are of short range and perhaps in the similar category as Nasser is. And therefore, India has lately begun because of these developments, toying with the idea of formally rescinding its no first use pledge and declaring that it indeed has a counter-force strategy. So India has engaged in mixed signaling through officials and like-minded academics, like in Nuclear Fest in March 2017 this year, who have floated the ideas of counter-force and disarming first strikes. So Pakistan is generally presented as a state that is more likely to employ a first strike option. There is a clear distinction between first use and first strike, and Mr. Bowen also pointed that out. Pakistan's first use of short-range ballistic missile or short-range low-yield missile may be seen as a counter-force targeting, but it would never qualify a first strike capability. It does not make sense for Pakistan to assign a first strike role to its nuclear forces because of perhaps 4 reasons. One, Pakistan has limited nuclear forces. Two, it cannot realistically aspire to destroy all possible Indian nuclear forces when India is potentially capable of, as recent studies show, around 2,600 warheads, making it actually the third largest nuclear state in the world. And India has a huge landmass for Pakistan to cover. And Pakistan has very limited I2SR capabilities. So basically, if I were to categorize or steal a term that General Kizwai once used, that Nasser or these weapons are weapons for peace and for deterrence, we have presented a capability for deterrence sake. So India, on the contrary, appears to find it more worthwhile to consider first strike options against Pakistan, which has a limited geography, smaller nuclear force, and India is increasingly developing its I2SR capabilities to support such options. So in conclusion, 3 points. Being the most populous region, rather I'll come to it later, let me make another point first, that I personally feel that the type and geography and population bulge in the subcontinent that we have, there will be little distinction between what we tend to consider a counter-force target or a counter-value target. I think nuclear use will have, as Brigadier Sadiq also pointed out, a devastating effect. And my second point is that being the most populous region in the world and one of the most resource-rich too, South Asia and its sub-region, Indo-Pak subcontinent, need to work on strategic stability, and if that can't happen, at least stabilize the deterrence equation, which is the next best option. And finally, my last point, a small one, is that management of nuclear capabilities is a burden that non-Western countries can also carry. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard 4 very, very thought-provoking presentations, and to my understanding, provocative in various ways. We have about 20 minutes for our discussions. We would have to, if we can take a set of questions and then see if there are responses. May I request each one of us to be as specific and crisp as possible in asking questions, making comments, or providing responses, so that we can actually deal with the issues, and very, very important issues that have been raised. Let's begin with the 2 ladies out there, and then Mrs. Johnson at the back. Please, then come to you.
I'm Sadia Hussain, a lecturer at the Department of Defense and Strategic Studies at Qaeda University. So please give me at least 2 minutes. This is the first session where I got an opportunity to ask a question. My first question is to Mr. Desmond Bowman. I was very happy to hear you mention the nuclear ban treaty. I thought you would cover that treaty probably in a bit detail. However, given that there wasn't any discussion on it, People like myself were extremely disappointed on how the P5 responded to the ban treaty. Of course, how India, Pakistan, and North Korea, Israel responded to it didn't make us happy. But particularly the response of Britain and France was disconcerting, given the fact that there have been very big social movements on disarmament. Do you think that there is a chance that there would be a change in British and French position on the ban treaty? My second question and comment is about it's to all the Pakistani speakers, in fact. I find the discussion on defense, deterrence, and stability in South Asia very, very disconcerting for a particular reason, which is that it always takes me back to 1960s and 1970s United States and Soviet Union. I feel that we are stuck in past, we are living in the Cold War time period, and we are talking about the same things while the world has moved far ahead. We are living in a world which is clearly turning into a networked world as opposed to the chessboard world that we used to have in the 18th and 19th century. And in this networked world, we have seen tremendous changes where there was some talk about power transitions. There wasn't any mention of power transition, particularly in context of these agencies or groups like Google. These are the kind of, in this network world, these are the powerhouses who control the information of the world, who have the revenue that is bigger than many countries in the world. We are living in a world where the discourse on disarmament is changing, and the power of discourse is shifting away from major powers to the states that are leading the conversation on the ban treaty. We are living in a world where ISIS is using drones to drop bombs on Iraqi tanks. So in this kind of a world where there is so much of change at the social level, at the normative level, at the technological level, we are not taking into account all those changing trends when we talk about defense, deterrence, and stability in South Asia. Can we really do justice to ourselves by ignoring these factors?
Okay, thank you. Let me take two more and then we go to the next round. Yes, the lady next to you.
So this is Alam Khan, PhD candidate at Qaid-e-Azam University. My question is directed to Mr. Bowman and also Brigadier Berry. We can see that through US-Indian Defense Partnership and LEMA, India can acquire US-made long-range patrol aircrafts, drones, maritime helicopters, and anti-submarine gear and all those. They can be used against Pakistan for spying and all other reasons. So Pakistan cannot remain oblivion to these developments. So what do you suppose, what options does Pakistan have, or what strategy other than the things that Pakistan is doing should Pakistan opt vis-a-vis such issues? So one more thing if I could just add.
That's enough. We have many speakers.
Okay,
The gentleman of dark suit after that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm Dishant, and my question is from Dr. Saleh. Sir, in your presentation, you mentioned that nuclear doctrines are basically dynamic in nature, and same goes for the doctrines of India and Pakistan. My question is there any end to this dynamism?
All right, let's have one more.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Sana Sal, I'm a senior fellow here at the center. My question is to them, it's a very simple question. Do the conventional precision-guided weapons have the same kind of deterrent effect that Pakistan is seeking from the so-called tactical or battle CTUs? Would they have a similar deterrent effect? Although you talked about the cost factor, I was only wondering. And because there is a disconnect between the debate in the West about these weapons as being war-fighting and the debate from the Pakistan side, mainly which says these are weapons of peace, or they are weapons that would deny India the conventional advantage that it's seeking below the threshold. That's one. And just a one-liner to Ms. Bowen. And that's, what is your assessment of India's counter-force, the claims that are going on right now? And considering the ISR capabilities that India currently has, the kind of cooperation that India is seeking with the United States, how does that come to force? What is your assessment of it? Is it applicable? Do you see there is a discrepancy between the operational details and the so-called doctrine as it stands on the NFQ?
The question is about the ban treaty, and my comment is this is not a treaty which has been supported by the United Kingdom. Indeed, we consider it to be unhelpful, since above all it may detract from the non-proliferation treaty. I think Matthew Harris is probably a better equipped than me to go into more detail if you want more detail. But part of your point was about social movements. Well, we have lots of social movements. We have social movements, one of which, repeatedly, in terms of polling, is to support Britain having a nuclear deterrent carried by Triton boats. One of the questions you asked, so I mean, sure, people raise their hands. We have debates in Parliament. It's scrutinised by the House of Commons Defence Committee. There are recommendations in one way or the other, and we have political parties that express their view. When the decision was made to build 4 new boats carrying the same old current missiles in the summer of 2016, was it? Was it this year? 2016. There was an absolutely overwhelming vote in Parliament to continue with the deterrent, continuous at-sea deterrent, specifically stated, and to build 4 boats. Meanwhile, back at the Go Slow sign, the Labour leader, Mr. Corbyn, has said on a number of occasions that he would be unwilling to launch a nuclear weapon, or to authorise the launch of a nuclear weapon, which has caused some consternation within the Labour Party, but it certainly gives some consternation to others, who are devising defence doctrine. And one of the more inventive ideas that was put forward was that we should indeed build more boats, but not put any missiles, which sounded to many of us like quite an expensive way of keeping the labour force going. But so, I say this, it's an odd proposition, but there are views, and if at the next election Mr. Corbyn came to power, which he might, the Labour Party would be in a fix in terms of sorting out its policy. Right now, its established policy is to support the deterrent and continuous at-sea deterrent, whatever their leader thinks. If Mr. Corbyn became the leader and prime leader of the Labour Party, remained the leader of the Labour Party, and became the Prime Minister, there would be issues to be pursued. Your second point about network worlds and not chessboards and Google, I'm not suggesting that Google ought to have its nuclear deterrent, but sure, the world is changing. The world is changing, but the question for me is about states and monopoly of power and where you want to locate it. And I think that the Westphalian system, some of which is being challenged, seems to me to be the best way of trying to set out how the world order is managed. And it's better far that states make their decisions. The extent to which governing elites are influenced by the mass of the people, is something that will play out, and some of it will play out in quite unhelpful ways. But I would contrast the kind of vivid debate that takes place in the UK with a not very vivid debate, it seems to me, here in South Asia about nuclear weapons and their value, their merits, the investment. I'm not sure I've answered your question directly, but others may be able to contribute. Have I done my bit? Others will have a go.
Naeem, do you want to take the bait for the Pakistani?
Sadia, I would be very happy if we were like that we could be compared to the US in 60s and 70s. Australians feel very proud saying that Australia of today is comparable to the United States of 1950s. So in terms of so many other indicators and attributes, if we could be there, I think we should be very happy. The point is that we shouldn't read too much into these utopian ideas. They've always been there. And what if there are no nuclear weapons? Do you think people will stop fighting? They will have other conventional weapons. More people are killed by conventional weapons. People will even fight with sticks and stones and whatever they will even punch if all weapons are taken away. That is some unfortunately inherent in the nature of human beings. So you can't take that away. As far as the impact of social movements is concerned, these are protest movements, they make a lot of noise, but do they represent the mainstream? We have seen so many protest movements recently in Pakistan. Do they represent mainstream Pakistan? So these kind of movements are very visible, they are noisy, they make good reports on the TV channels in UK or wherever they are, but they are not the ones who are in majority and who should create the policy. Zishan, as far as your question about dynamic nature of doctrine is concerned, obviously the security situation never remains constant and the technology is always on the move. And these are the two things which determine the nature of the doctrine also. So doctrine will keep changing. If the situation gets better, you will have a different doctrine. If the situation creates more security oriented, then you will have to adapt your doctrine according to that situation.